Go for it. Go.
I mean, people, I don't know if Lara will cut it out. Like, she's the producer here. They are forcing me to introduce this stream in the following way, but I'm blinking like they are forcing me. They want me to tell that this stream is about two Eastern European women bashing Tristan about crypto for no reason.
It wasn't like this. You're scamming us. We didn't force you to tell this. This is okay.
I'm blinking.
Nobody can see
Tristan,
that.
you should start blinking too, I think.
Okay, right. No, I mean, we will talk about crypto and communities and what does it mean. We will slightly touch the creator part of it and maybe DAOs, and then also mention that all the good thing that Tristan made in his life about within startups things and with his new direction in climate tech and crypto. And there is a lot to unpack in this podcast, and it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, probably.
We will make the most out of it.
Yes. Okay,
Yeah.
let's have a little fast introduction. So, okay, I'm Lara. I'm artist, community manager, producer, editor of this show,
and crypto skeptic.
And yeah,
and a crypto skeptic. Yeah. Perfect.
And I'm a bully of out of everybody, so I like to trash
Anna,
people.
are you a crypto skeptic?
I am Anna. I am also a crypto skeptic, and when I find something on the internet that I like, I stalk it relentlessly. And for some time, it was CTO AI, where Tristan is head of community.
Alec, who are you? Who the fuck are you?
I'm thinking if I am the crypto skeptic, I'm kinda not. But since I work together with these two awesome people, they are stronger than I, in my opinion. So I'm blinking. Save me from that. But can you be the crypto protagonist here and explain why, despite lots of hate and lots of controversy, you still are a true believer?
Help us not to bash you.
Yes, help us not to bash you. Let's put it this way.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess, and I don't know if it helps to give a little bit of introduction on who I am, but, I'm kind of this mix of entrepreneur and founder and also investor. And so I've spent kind of the last decade building, selling and investing in startups. And between kind of my home state of Minnesota, where I am right now, and kind of during COVID, as well as California, San Francisco, and Silicon Valley. And so I would say, I have the long-term story of, that everyone in crypto had. I got my first Bitcoin, in 2012 or 2011 or something like this. And, was started to get interested in the space very early on. But I'd say I don't think I got really deep into it until the last couple of years. And I've been working on a couple of projects, helping on the kind of community side. One is Alchemy, who's kind of CeFi to DeFi, bringing centralized institutions and allowing them to kind of navigate into the, regulatory space so that they can do more decentralized investing. And the other one is Loop Finance, who's basically building a DEX, which is an exchange that allows you to, easily swap in a decentralized way from one token to another token. Say you want to go from Ethereum to something else on the Ethereum chain, and now you're getting more bridges, which is kind of what their interesting component is bridges to other blockchains. So you could potentially, like Bitcoin and Ethereum are separate chains, so you could go between the two. And so those are a couple of the projects I'm working on. Super excited to hear from crypto skeptics. I am definitely, like I was saying, over the last 2 years, become a big believer in kind of Web3 and blockchain being the future of the internet. And I think one of the things that always stuck with me was the fact that we're kind of, the early stages of what the internet was, in 2000. And so things aren't as, user experience isn't as great, things are a little bit messy. It's very technical, but a lot of these components that are happening now in blockchain are very much like what was happening, in, these early web years where, if you go back and look at Wells Fargo or something, like some big company. It's like they had this one page website that looks horrible.
Anna, go for it.
Like I have like a support from Lera that gives me power. So my question is, how should creators and community builders approach crypto in general? Because when I listen to it, when I see other people talking about it, sounds like this unicorn, like this heavenly place where everyone is equal, everything is great. You don't have to be this person with millions of followers. Everyone loves you for who you are. And then you enter a Discord chat with crypto enthusiasts and you hear this minting, like I don't know, NFT,
just crypto jargon, just crypto word garbage.
And you feel missing out all the time. You're like, what the hell is this? What does this mean? Is it even English? What's going on?
Not me. So I'm on this way from the start, but
but so if I'm a creator and I want to like tomorrow start, at least get started on crypto, how should I approach it in a beginner friendly way, let's say it like that?
Yeah, that's a great question.
But that's not a skeptic question, Anna. Like you promised to be a skeptic, and I'm like, how do I start?
Hold.
Okay,
just hold on.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's interesting projects that are helping creators basically like launch tokens or like their own coin and basically, be able to give them away for certain things. Chris Messina I've seen, he's like he kind of the creator of the hashtag, and he has like his own coin that I think he gives away, for people, getting involved in things that he does. Whether that's like maybe coming to a talk he's giving or an event or, other things like this. So I think there's some room here for like where it's been made a little more turnkey. One of the companies or projects is called Roll. Another one's called like BitClout. There's a handful of other ones that allow you to kind of create a token and then be able to distribute it for different things. And do it in a lot more user-friendly turnkey way, where before I think it was very difficult, right? It's like there's a lot of steps to, creating your own token and getting it, spun up onto a blockchain and then supporting it and making sure like, there's a huge, like you're saying, there's a huge problem with fraud and spam and just kind of maybe like one of the terminologies I've heard recently is called moon boys. It's basically the people that are more financially incentivized than the people who are the believers in like the long-term, power of this new type of internet.
And I'm very happy that you mentioned BitClout because that's the thing that confuses me. And maybe Lara will cut this out because this goes into very technical parts. But the BitClout, I think, is the great example why I am very skeptical of crypto in general. Because like I have heard about BitClout from Mr. Beast. If anyone does not know about Mr. Beast, he is this very, very big YouTuber. I think he's the first YouTube billionaire, or he's headed that way or something like that. And he launched a coin, which is currently valued at, I don't know, $20,000. But if the crypto is promising that this is the place where anyone can monetize themselves in an equal way, how is that if like Mr. Beast is going on BitClout and gets his coin like $20,000, and if I go there, my coin will cost like $0.0001 in the best case. Like how we equalize that space?
Yeah, I think that and I think BitClout is taking advantage of these like built-in network effects that already exist. So it's probably more and honestly, I mean, a lot of these new coins, again, it's like getting into the mainstream requires mainstream personalities and networks. And so, a lot of times that's like that's the PR, that's like that's the beachhead, so to speak, in startup language, that's the first go-to for you to try to grow your platform, because inevitably if you don't grow your platform and gain interest, then it'll kind of like flounder. So But I think it's a good question on like equalizing that in, you know, in the kind of the value of a decentralized world where, you know, the power comes back to the people, and how do we keep the power with the people and not just have, you know, there's some stats out there, I think, where, you know, there's still a small percentage, you know, if you think of like, you know, 1% of people hold, you know, 99% of the wealth or something to this extent in like fiat and like USD. And you go to like the crypto world, well, it's actually not that much better. There's still all these whales that have majority of the wealth. It's not quite as bad as, you know, but it's also a new industry, so there's not as much history there. So I'm definitely interested in that as well. I don't know if I have the, you know, the perfect answer right now, but I would like to see that like the altruistic, you know, vision of the crypto blockchain world, you know, come to fruition in a way that's inclusive versus, you know, just, yeah, like a couple whales holding all of the wealth in Bitcoin or Ethereum or, you know, Solana, and, you know, that not equalizing it in the same way. So I think maybe the answer is, you know, getting, you know, education and getting people involved early. You know, I've seen like a lot of, you know, like, let's say like minority groups in tech trying to encourage their, you know, their networks to get into crypto in these ways so they can take advantage of the, you know, rise in investment early on, so they're not left behind. And I think that's probably one aspect of it is just, you know, education and onboarding so that people are be able to like take advantage. And, you know, what essentially makes somebody a moon boy or, you know, get excited about it is like when you see that jump, you know. So it's like the trader and the investment side of it is like somewhat useful for the future of the greater vision that is, you know, kind of more like the Ethereum, you know, Vitalik idea of what blockchain could be and what that could mean for the, you know, greater society.
To me, like I'm listening to Tristan, and what I really hear is like, yeah, look, sort of, there is like lots of rough edges, but if you have a community, if you're popular, if you can tell people yourself, you're sort of good. Like then crypto works for you, and
but in good. That case, everything works for you, no?
So yeah, like community is a solution to everything. Like you have community, you tell them buy your coin, and they're like, yes, sure, let's invest in Anna. But Lera, why are you crypto skeptic?
Anna coin launching tomorrow.
I'm supporting you.
I think what like one of the interesting aspects, speaking just to the community side of it, and why people get so excited and like jump on, like, you know, the communities like blow up overnight in crypto because of that financial incentive. It's almost like you can IPO day one and then provide tokens, you know, in via airdrops or to people that are participating in the community or people that do certain things for the community. So you can, you know, build this like, you know, incentive structure, which does happen with other technology companies and startups. Let's say like Lyft, for example. Lyft, you know, as they scaled, they realized they couldn't, you know, do personal onboarding to every single driver. And then they eventually had their best drivers do some of that onboarding, but then they paid them for it. And so I think you could look at that same model, let's say with a company like Brain Trust, where they're kind of a, you know, they're like an Upwork for high-end talent, but they're incentivizing the community. So if you do projects, you know, you complete your profile, like, you know, you do actions to support the platform and support the community, then you basically get invested in the community. So it's kind of like a co-op model. You know, if you go down to your local, you know, kind of co-op grocery store where, you know, you have this stake in the game. And I think that's kind of the interesting aspect of crypto communities. Although, you know, you're totally right. Big, lots of jargon, lots of strange words and acronyms and memes and things that it's a little bit of a learning curve to get into. So it does take a little bit of time, but the dynamics can be very interesting.
Even Discord is hard. Like you have to learn the buttons. Like any new software, any new paradigm, you just have to learn it. If you have motivation, you will make it. I think learning is fine. I mean,
this is very good to sort people. So if that motivated and interested in this topic, and if you don't want to learn it, just like fuck off then.
This is it. I mean, let me play the protagonist role here. And again, like think about crypto communities. Like you can optimize lots of stuff. And as Tristan told, like can bring in cool mechanics and incentivize people with money, maybe digital currency, sort of a bit of tied to actual money, but maybe not. Today tied in one way, tomorrow tied in a different way. I mean, like it's similar.
And how
like,
it brings people together.
So yeah, so money brings people together, but then also money separates people apart.
Yes, that's true.
I guess the question is how to build a system that incentivizes, but at the same time helps to nurture the belonging inside of community. Because in the end, we are here talking about belonging. The same as in crypto, I don't feel belonging in that crypto community.
Same. That's why we
integrate that's two worlds.
But then let's operate to the community, like to the head of community part of Tristan, since he is the head of community. CTO AI. And so, Tristan, how do you think about the community and the crypto part? Like, how to make peace and still keep these relations versus the money motivation? Like, are you in the community because you like the product, because you like the people, or because like you hate everybody, but you want that penny?
Thanks for mentioning CTO. I mean, it's cool that you flashed up the site because it's literally brand new. First time I'm seeing it actually live today. So that's cool to see it live on Twitch as well. It's a good question. It's a good question. I think we're seeing some interesting things evolve in that sense. And I think maybe the short answer is like, how do you, when you do an airdrop and, you incentivize your community and you kind of like put that community structure and that code of conduct and like, this is our vision statement of what the community is.
Can I ask one simple question? Can you explain what airdrop is? Because I think I can understand it because I am in some part of the communities, but I don't think everyone can understand who listens to us.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Thanks for asking that. So yeah, airdrop would basically be, in a simple way, just you're going to give away some of the token that you control or that your blockchain is on your blockchain, and you're basically just giving away like, let's say like $20 of it to 1,000 people for an action or for being a part of it, or you want to incentivize somebody to do something. And I think that's where it could kind of play back to creating more this bigger sense of belonging, because I think that we're also starting to see communities, come together around different things, NFTs and art and creativity. And so there's this kind of like art collector incentive that is a little bit new. But like, I guess back to the airdrop is, I think that with trying to create a community in this space, there could be really interesting ways to support, instead of just that are like little actions like follow us on Twitter or like hold the coin. There could be other things where it's like, hey, we want help somebody in the group by doing XYZ. It could mean like, we give airdrops for people who so giving them some token for the community centers around for answering questions in support and helping other people understand what's going on. So I feel like there's maybe some more altruistic things that you could do, airdrops or give token giveaways for that, support the right type of actions that you'd like to see in a community, versus like just supporting the people that are financially incentivized.
And that's what puzzles me. That's what puzzles me so hard. Suddenly we have to redefine the community relations because there is always like the penny involved, the money involved. And since in most cases, these are not stable coins, they are not like really tied into the money. So anything can happen, and like people are working very, very hard to get like this money, and then something happens and they get like much less than expected. And but that's not what puzzles me. What puzzles me is that instead of helping people because you love them or because you love the product, you actually work for it and may or may not get financial reward. And that's what is hard to settle in my brain. And I wonder if there is a narrative in crypto community around that, and how are you, Tristan, thinking personally about it?
Yeah, I guess it's an interesting thought. I mean, like you said, it's some of the, you might, if it's not, let's just say, take out the the currency, international currencies, take out like stable coins, and there's a chance that like this token that you put all this time and work and effort into a community fails, and you end up kind of not reaping any of those rewards. But I feel like there's some ways around that, and also like it's kind of the reality of the world in a capitalist society as it is today too. There's lots of communities that won't survive, whether they were venture-backed company that ran out of money, wasn't able to accomplish what they wanted to. There's lots of reasons that startups die, and most actually run into some sort of failure point. So I think the same, you probably have to think of the same as in this world where some tokens will live a long time and some may crumble under certain changes or under certain, lack of funding, poor leadership, et cetera. So I think you kind of run into that realm, but probably what the big difference is I think there's a lot of, like, I guess maybe the big shift is that before kind of the gamified or, let's say like, ambassador programs or things like this that maybe don't come with financial incentives. Now it's almost like baked in, and that's like part of, being, in a crypto community. It's like, you can really like find those right mechanisms to support the people that are most involved in not just a like, a glorified or like, a gamified way, or like here's a trophy, but like here's like actual like value that this
usually
company
you
is
send
creating.
your super users socks. That's what you do, like
or stickers.
Yeah, and so maybe the token will mature better than those socks over a couple of years. So, and you can always get out, right, too. I think it's like there is like it depends on the token, but like there's usually some level of liquidity that you can have, and you could change it into Ethereum. You can change it back into cash. So it's not like it's unusable either. And you could always like, let's say like, you take out half and, keep half in because you want to like reap some of those rewards that you earned.
I have one question. So this all sounds to me, honestly, like if I have launched tomorrow a committee and hired a bunch of people for a coin that actually costs like not 1 Ethereum, but 0.00002 Ethereum. And I am like in traditional startup senses, I give them vesting period. So they all have to work with me forever. No, not forever, for let's say 10 years. So one day their vesting period will end, and we will get a coin that is strong enough. So this sounds to me as if I should recruit a small army of people.
Or have a community.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Like,
I should build a small army in the community, like Daenerys Targaryen going after the unbreakable ones after somewhere there, and brings them to
but like
the
to be a profitable author on Substack, you also need an army. To launch a new product, you also need an army. So you need a community pretty much for everything, or you need to be famous. Having rich parents also helps.
So basically, you have to have audience.
Yeah.
No, that's a great question, or that's a great thought. I think the vesting period for startups is typically 4 years, and even if you don't pass the first year, you don't even get anything. And that's I think, and I don't know if it's really a response and just evolution of progressive nature within the tech community. but that's starting to change. And I don't know if it's a response to like crypto being, like you said, like, instantly, right? Real time, you get that token and it's done. And you're not having to wait around. You're not like locked into something. There's no golden handcuffs. There's just, you have now a stake in the game and you want to see this thing succeed even more. And so I think startup equity is starting to change like that too, right? I think companies out there's like a few big ones. I mean, maybe Lyft was one. I feel like a few of them basically were like, yeah, we're going to do away with that because we just want people to, get their equity, and we don't want to make it complicated and, have to force them to do something they don't want to do for 4 years to just get their equity that they should have earned. And so like kind of earn it in real time, or like they earn it more on a cycle that's monthly, or, there's no cliff. And so it's a good point, because I think comparatively to like maybe other organizations in the tech industry, it's a lot better incentive, but there is still that high risk, because like a lot of crypto companies might be paying you half in fiat, half in like, US dollar and half in the coin. So then you might be getting, a lot less than you're used to for your salary for, in currency. And then the other part is the token. But like if things crash on the token, then like, that you could be like left out. So there's more emphasis, I feel like, on the equity side when it comes to crypto companies. It's versus like maybe that was, a smaller percentage on a startup. Now it's like much higher for a crypto company because they have more of it and it allows them to stay leaner.
And then Tristan, I'm listening to you and I'm thinking, I mean, there is a lot of novelty in how you think about communities and what they can do for crypto and vice versa. And I'm thinking, like, within you wear many hats. And like, so your hat as a head of community of CTO AI, do you think that you being the crypto guy or enjoying like this all new paradigms, do you think it helps you to be a great head of community of CTO AI?
Yeah, I think it's good to stay up on, what's trending in like the technology world. We're looking and we're talking to some clients and looking at CTO and looking at, ways that we can support blockchain companies and how they scale their DevOps. And so, kind of staying on top of like what's going on, as I'm also like, paying a lot of attention to like climate technology and what's happening there. And so, there's, 20 something billion that it was invested into climate companies last year, maybe even more. Like there's a lot of money going into it right now, which is great. Big problem, going to be even bigger than COVID, and it's going to last, decades to try to figure it out. And so like, I think understanding those things and where we can support, startups and tech companies as they scale, that's kind of like essential to like the CTO AI mission. We want to help that become very easy by creating this platform layer in the middle, and then helping people hire and onboard, kind of be more inclusive with their developer teams, because they can hire from anywhere now, right? Like they don't need to just hire locally. And so I think that also, like, how do you create that and there's also a lot of new developers onboarding, for the first time. Let's say they did a boot camp or, and so I think the dynamics of like the developer world are changing quite rapidly with all the boot camps and the remote work, remote first focus, digital by default. And so that, being able to then use a common set of tools, or like use the tools, but then have that merge into the whole team in a very easy, seamless way. That's kind of the CTO AI mission.
But so are you getting CTO coin ready? Because I mean, like, you've been amazed, like you were talking about all these new mechanics in a happy voice. So I assume you believe in that. So is there a CTO AI coin to reward your community members to support each other? Or how are you thinking about that? I mean, like, you either believe in that and like employ it everywhere, or I don't know.
Yeah, that would be amazing. We've had some conversations. I won't say we're building anything yet, but I think it's going to be, I think over the next decade, it's going to be more and more essential for companies to play into having a token in some way. And, you're already seeing like, it's whatever, PayPal, or Square, Cash, or like, allow functionality to buy crypto, Robinhood, whatever. But you're also seeing, or like even holding Bitcoin, the whole Tesla thing, Square's done some of this, to like hold the coin. But I think you're going to see this transition of like user interface is going to be good. It's going to be like you've always used. Underneath, there might be a token, there might be blockchain, but it's not going to be something you need to even know about or interact with, just like the web today. And then kind of like, I'll use an example from the crypto world. In DeFi, we were kind of talking about DEXs before, where it's like you have an exchange, right? Centralized body, Coinbase, that you can go on and trade things, but you lose it, you take a cut. And then there's this DEXs that are basically like indexes that help you do this. You can have your own independent wallet and then exchange the coin onto your own independent wallet, so you stay more decentralized. And there's the main one, the biggest one in the space is called Uniswap. And they didn't have a token. They wanted to just create like, this amazing experience, and focus on that. And then here comes along Sushi Swap. They literally have, kind of, there's a lot of like these kind of memeified, they use like the kind of sushi ike, emoji and stuff like this, kind of fun. But the thing was they had a sushi coin. And so that pulled, because they had that incentive and they were, doing things like airdrops, it pulled a lot of users away from Uniswap. So they moved over to, a lot of people moved over to Sushi Swap because they're like, well, I can support this, but also like the more I use this, the more my, sushi coin is going to go up too. So I'm going to, I think you're going to see probably that happen in the more mainstream tech world, like that company Brain Trust I was mentioning, because inevitably, if you don't have something like this to incentivize your community or, use to run your company, at some point it's going to become a disadvantage. And without that, you can't do the same things that other companies are doing. So there'll be like a turning point, I feel like, at some point.
Well, I'm listening to you, Tristan, and I'm thinking, maybe not. And then I remember, I remember, like, if somebody like 10 years ago would tell me like, in the future, if you don't have a like button, like you don't exist. Like the society in the future gonna rely on other people liking whatever you do for free on the internet. I'm like, dude, like, really? So perhaps, despite what Tristan is saying, may sound like, hey, really? Society in the future gonna rely on some coins, like myriads of coins? Well, society today relies on myriads of likes on all the services, and these likes are free. They just bring you dopamine. So perhaps in the future, like maybe he's right. If you don't invest in this today.
Sounds like a creepy advertisement. I'm sorry.
I want to ask a final question. Sorry, Alec. What would you suggest to people who are interested in crypto and want to, like, not crypto, community coins? How should they pick the right community to invest in? Because there are a lot of them, and from the outside, it's very hard to know what's going on the inside. Do you have any tips for that?
Yeah. It's a really good question. And I think, even to your point of like, paying for likes or however you were thinking about it being kind of creepy. I think that means like it's even more important that people that care about community, that are empathetic, that like care about that power to the people thought of, kind of what Ethereum really pushed forward in blockchain, should get involved. And maybe an easy way to get involved is to, look into like some of the projects. Maybe the easiest one is Ethereum, because I think they have some values that really relate to what blockchain and the future of the web could be, that in a really positive way, where, maybe Bitcoin might be more about, hey, price go up. I think Ethereum thinks more about the mechanics of, how do we make this a really like healthy place, and a really like exciting place. And like they have like kind of a true value statement. So maybe that's a good place, is like, you start with Ethereum and maybe projects that are built on Ethereum, and kind of understand it. I think there's there's a book that I read recently by a woman, Russo, I think, that talks about the kind of the beginnings of Ethereum and like almost up till today. And I think that could be a good like primer into like understanding like where this all came from. Who are these people behind, one of the most popular blockchains? And then, from there, you could maybe pick a particular project that you think is interesting, and it relates to other things you care about. If you care about art, maybe there's an NFT project that's really interesting and you can join their community, like, the crypto punks from Larva Labs, like, that, for example, right? Like they have a Discord too. And if you like, kind of like, oh, wow, what kind of like, interesting collections of, digital art could we create in this new sort of way that, does something really interesting, and, and maybe that you find your community that way. And so I think I would, and I think just getting involved in one community can be enough. You don't necessarily need to join every community, understand every blockchain, just focus on, what's kind of interesting to you and find a community that maybe reflects more of your values, Ethereum or Larva Labs, or find something that, fits that, and then like go deeper within that realm. And I think that'll naturally help you understand the crypto world and give you a better purview into what's happening.
Look, a half an hour ago, Tristan's mom came, and then there is something else connected to Tristan's mom on the screen, and not just mom, the whole family. Stay at home dog. Tristan, what am I showing, and why am I showing this book? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, it is true. My mom started this new trend of kind of popping in randomly because I've been back in Minneapolis during COVID. And so she lives not too far by, and I'm not in San Francisco anymore. So much easier for her to make random stopovers, which I love. Although we were just starting the podcast this time. And so basically what happened, about a year ago was like, COVID was starting. My wife and I were, visiting our families in Minnesota. We had been kind of like traveling, without like digital nomading. And so as COVID ramped up, we were just like, oh, like, I guess, we'll stay here for a month and then a year. And we ended up living back in my parents' basement for all of last year. And so what happened over the first, couple months was this idea kind of came out. I saw my mom had been drawing, and both my parents are like trained artists and graphic designers. So she was drawing and illustrating, just like with pencil or marker. And I'm like, oh, Mom, I would see this and I'm like, you should do this more. And so what kind of came out of it was like, as COVID started ramping up, and like, I think like a lot of families were like not really sure what to do. We're like, well, maybe we could create like a children's book, nothing too crazy, but like a kid's book to help families like understand and cope with what, is happening during a pandemic. Cause it's like, there's all these weird things, right? You're lockdown, quarantine, you're staying at home, you're like maybe you're not seeing your friends. And so we just tried to kind of interpret this into something where my mom did all the illustration and my dad did the graphic design, and then my wife and I did the writing, and we just were in like basically a month we were able to like spin up a children's book onto Amazon's Kindle platform, and that you can now download or buy a physical copy on Amazon. So it was a cool project. I mean, it's incredibly kind of back to this like decentralization of the world, Kindle publishing, and you still have a centralized entity of Amazon, but before you would never, it'd be so difficult to get something out like this.
It's such a nice way to spend your quarantine, I think.
We tried to stay productive.
And I think that, you did this book because you had relations and you had good emotions around your household, and also you wanted to share something like some feelings with kids, and that's not financially incentivized. And this is the world I want to live in, instead of like being rewarded a penny for something that I do. But we'll see what the world gonna bring us. Lera, do you want to do an outro?
Do I want to be whom?
An outro out of this, something motivational, because we've been talking about money and you've been drawing for 30 minutes.
That's true. That's true. No, I don't know. The only outro that I can make, the thing that I learned, to be successful, you need a community or be popular.
Or small army of people.
Well,
Rich parents.
or rich parents. Yes.
Tristan, did we miss any other point?
I think get involved is what I'd say. I think and then the more involved, let's say if you find a crypto project you're interested in, for the the mission, and you get involved and understand crypto better, and you can, I think, then take that knowledge and help create that this new ecosystem to be more of what you want to see.
Okay.
Yes, that's it. Time to say goodbye.
Yes.
Say goodbye.
Yes. Goodbye. Yeah, thank you very much.